All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. So, today we are going to be talking about the UI Workshop Part 2. And before we get into this, it is worth noting that for me, currently, it is like 5 a.m. and I'm supposed to be getting ready for a flight that I have in a few hours. But instead, I'm going to try and finish this video and get it out for you guys today. So, let's get into this. Starting with item labels. This entire workshop is basically a reaction to the feedback that they got from the first UI workshop, which is great. And a lot of the stuff here is what people have wanted for a while, I would say. Starting with item labels. So these are going to be changed to be on by default. This is, of course, extremely good because people knowing what things are is just good in general. People just being able to at a glance see a bunch of things and know what the fuck they're looking at, just a plus, just purely a plus. And I think that it can be seen that this will definitely be a plus just purely by the amount of comments that I get whenever I mention how to turn item labels on, how it's wild that people hadn't turned them on sooner. So that's great. Item labels, information for everybody, even the people who are brand new to the game and don't have someone to tell them to turn item labels on. And moving on from that, we have the hold to confirm experiment. So this is kind of a half and half thing. So they're removing this from a lot of stuff, which is going to be like the intrinsics and avionics screens, where it is extremely annoying. So that's good. But they're putting it in a spot where I think it is actually quite appropriate, and that is on the abort mission screen when you die. So whenever you die, that abort mission button is going to use the hold to confirm, which, considering that's a button that gets used very little and you would never want to misclick while you're in the middle of a mission that you're just going to revive for, that's probably like the most appropriate spot I could realistically think of for this functionality. So it being removed from places where it's really fucking annoying and being put into a spot where it's honestly fairly justified is just all good stuff for that. Glad to see less hold confirm in the future because it is fucking annoying in all places where you need to mess with the UI a lot. Aside from that, there's just a small note here that there's going to be some more controller passes on making that stuff better. So that's probably going to mostly affect console, obviously, although people do use controllers on PC. Can't fathom that myself, but people will do them. And then beyond that, we have an item details thing here, which is we're getting rid of about. About is no longer going to be a thing whenever you link weapons. You are going to instead see a page that looks much more like this. This is, as you can very easily tell, just placeholder because it says stat 1, stat 2, stat 3, stat 4. This would, of course, be things like crit chance, crit multiplier, etc. So that's nice. The interesting thing I found about this is that the way that this is laid out is, I'll just read this verbatim. This screen actually starts with a story. The day we had our dev workshop review meeting, we also released the Kuva Nukor, the Kuva Hind, the Kuva Brahma. Players immediately began chat linking these items to view their details. All stats are hidden behind a hover on about, and thus we had a perfect day to make a decision on the changes for this screen, since we could watch in real time how players interacted with the new content. I feel like this was never in question. Like this is somewhat interesting that the information needed to be present on like the exact day of a meeting or something. That it's very weird. This paragraph right here is just, it's very odd to me that the evidence needed to be present and at the exact current time they were talking about it in order to see this kind of change. But regardless, this is a much better fucking screen to see whenever you link a weapon and want information about it, because the information is fucking present on the screen, which is, of course, the thing that we wanted. So this is going to be just a pretty much raw improvement. The screen may not end up looking exactly like this, but from how I'm looking at it, seems solid. Besides that, we have some end of mission stuff that I found to be pretty interesting in how this functionality is going to work. And also, I'd like to note that I kind of expect this to break in some way, just because of the way it's worded. So the end of mission, as we work on the redesign of this screen, we will ensure there is an expanded version of the screen you can access. Once you choose this expanded version, the game will remember it and only present you with this version of the screen for future missions until you choose to collapse it again. We're still working on mockups for this, which will come in a future workshop or dev stream. So I find this to be really interesting Because similar to item labels, I wonder what they're going to decide should be the default. Obviously, I had kind of a different opinion than I feel like most people had on the end of mission screen, just disincentivizing looking at like what percent of damage you did in the mission. As I thought that was a really good change, and I mostly think you just needed to be able to see your drops and the things that are going to be pertinent to you going forward post mission. Um, and of course, I thought it was a solid place to show off like the fashion frame of the group that you were doing the mission with. But I wonder if the simple version or the expanded version is going to be the default. I would assume the simple version would be the default, and for me personally, my view is that that would be better in this case. But the expanded version, as long as it doesn't break, I imagine there will be bugs with this. Just from how it sounds, I imagine there will be bugs with this when it launches, which bugs can be fixed. But the expanded version, like sticking, so people that care about that stuff will always just see that version of the screen is an interesting solution to the problem of some people want a lot of information and some people really don't need that information. And it'll be curious to see kind of where this shakes out too. And then kind of almost finally, we have the mastery icons. And this is an incredibly short note. These are being iterated on, and we will have more to show soon. For me personally, all this tells me, like what this says to me is that iteration means completely redoing it. I saw very, very few people have a positive reaction to how like the mastery icon looked on that mastery test screen. So I really wonder like how much of a change we're going to see with this the next time we see them. And then besides that, we have just a tiny, tiny little note, which is just a bonus of Forge All. This is just Railjack, but it's just a button that lets you make all the things between missions. Obviously, for me, I think Railjack needs a ton of improvements before something like this is going to really matter to me. I would much rather see like core gameplay improvements, but it is nice to have a button there that we can use at our discretion if we need it whenever Railjack hopefully gets better. But yeah, this is kind of a short video, but I wanted to just talk about the UI improvements that they are slated to make, and this as their reaction to the feedback from the UI workshop we went over in the part 1 stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. And just to let everybody know, in this video, I have some stuff lined up to be coming out while I'm gone. As I said earlier, I'm going to be getting on a flight very soon, and I'm going to be gone until just after Valentine's Day. But there will be still streams, and there are going to be videos coming out. So look forward to those. Yeah. Should be fun. Should be a good time. If you guys are looking for my streams, you can join the Discord down in the description below, or just go follow me on Twitch. And that stuff should be relatively frequent while I am out and about. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you later.